whoever's watching. Thanks very much for your time and your interest in the philosophy programs here at Philosophy. We're going to talk a little bit about the philosophy programs and answer some questions. My name is Dr. Jennifer Corns, and I am the convener of the PGT programs in philosophy, all 4 programs. We'll talk about them in a little bit. And Emily, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Emily. I'm a student on the Master's Philosophy course. And yeah, we're here to answer all your questions about the course and what it's like to study in Glasgow. So yeah, pass back to Jen for the
Great, thank you. Emily and I are going to kind of blather on and say some general things that are hopefully helpful to you if you're watching live or if you're watching later on the recording. But do, as we've now said a few times, feel free to pop any questions that you have in the chat, and we and some people behind the scenes will do our best to answer all those questions for you. You can also get in touch with us later directly, but we're here now to answer some general questions in our general conversation, but also any specific questions for anyone watching live as we go. So do take the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. Philosophy at Glasgow is thriving. It's a really exciting time to be here and to study philosophy here. The program has grown year on year, and there's a really big community between the postgraduate taught degrees, which is what you would be coming and being part of, and also the postgraduate research community. So those are people doing their PhD. There's quite a lot of overlap, which creates a really nice large community. I think this year we had about 60 to 70 people doing philosophy postgraduate work. And they share some events and social things that you can really benefit from. So there are regular research meetings. So there are seminars every week, both regular philosophy seminars and also the postgrads themselves present every week. And after that, there's a kind of hangout every week, every Friday. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to come and talk and get involved. We have 2 research centers based here at Glasgow as well. There's the one in philosophy of mind and perception called the Center for the Study of Perceptual Experience. And there's another one mostly in epistemology called Cogito. And they are both very active interdisciplinary research centers, which means you have experts in all of those fields regularly coming through Glasgow, and regular research talks and seminars and things for you to get involved in. We also have an annual reading party. You went on the reading party, didn't you, Emily? Yes?
Yeah.
An annual reading party where we all go away together and hang out. So I just kind of wanted to kick things off by saying how active and dynamic a place that is. I think sometimes when you're choosing a program, it's easy to just look at the courses and not know much about the community and how active things are. And so to me, it's really one of the highlights of doing philosophy here at Glasgow is just how big the community is and how active it is and how much philosophy is going on here at Glasgow, what a big department it is, what a range of expertise it has, how frequent the meetings and seminars and research events are. It would be good, Emily, if you want to just talk a little bit, because people will want to hear more from you than from me about what it's like to study here at Glasgow. So if you just want to talk a little bit about why you picked Glasgow and what it's like to live and study here, I think that would be great.
Yeah, of course. So I was lucky enough to do my undergrad at Glasgow as well. So I'm pretty familiar with the department and basically everything Jen has said about the community that's here at Glasgow is definitely the highlight of studying here. There's so much to get involved in within the department, not just philosophically. There's the community is just great. We do a lot of hanging out. We also do a lot of philosophizing, of course. But yeah, so we have these weekly seminars, which is great because it's not just you don't just get to interact with talks from students. There's also we have the senior seminar, so you get experts from different universities and things. So you're getting to do a lot of philosophy, but you're also getting to meet a lot of different people. So that's a really sort of essential part of why I've enjoyed Glasgow so much. There's obviously just so much going on within philosophy, but also in the wider university. So being a student in Glasgow, I've really enjoyed it personally. I think Glasgow's a great city to be a student in because there's so much going on. It's a very creative place to live. There's a lot of music, there's a lot of arts, there's a lot of different things going on. Where the uni is in the West End, there's lovely green spaces. We've got parks, we've got the river, we've got all sorts. The university itself, there's so much to get involved in. We've got a really active sports facilities and sports teams. So I'm quite involved with sports at Glasgow, and there's like 100 different clubs or something like that. So there is something for everyone. There's also outside of that, there's big student journalism, different societies. Like there's so much to get involved in, not just in your course. That's why Glasgow makes a really good university to study at. And then specifically philosophy, it's just the kind of range of interest at Glasgow makes it really good place to be a student, because you can sort of tailor your like studies to kind of whatever you'd be interested in. It's really, you're not really pushed in a certain direction. We've got experts like across the whole of philosophy. So me and my course mates were all interested in different things, and we're like able to pursue these through our work, just because there's so many different experts to sort of draw from. So yeah, studying at Glasgow has been a very enjoyable experience, and I'm very grateful to have been able to do my postgrad and my undergrad here. So yeah.
Thanks, Emily. I'm going to talk a little bit. I saw a question in the chat about how the conversion program relates to the other ones. And I'm going to talk about the program structure in a minute. But before I do that, Emily, do you want to say anything about living in Glasgow? I think Glasgow has a kind of reputation that's maybe unfair, and times have changed. So I think when I was first moving here anyway, about now almost 15 years ago, people were sort of nervous about Glasgow. Do you want to say anything about what it's like to live here yourself? I could say, but your experience will be closer to their experience, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm from Scotland, but I'm not from Glasgow. So moving to Glasgow, obviously it's quite a big city. You can understand why some people might be nervous sort of coming into the space, but the University of Glasgow is a very friendly place, I would say. And we're situated in the West End, which is a little bit quieter than the city centre. So you're not like in the centre of the city, so you have a little bit more space to sort of breathe and things. And Glasgow also has a reputation for being a very, very friendly place, I would say. So
I think it's the friendliest city I've ever lived in or been to. I do. I think that's right. Yeah.
I agree. The people of Glasgow are very friendly, and especially as any university, there is like a pocket of like you're in a lot of students obviously live in the West End, but there's also families and whatnot. So you're not isolated from the city, but there's I've never felt unsafe, and I've always felt at home living on the university. So I would definitely recommend it to anybody.
Great. Thanks, Emily. I feel like it's important to sort of say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to do, in a sense, the boring part, but a part that might be useful to you, depending on where you are in the process of deciding where to go, with some of the details about the program structure. So we have 4 programs, master's level programs in philosophy in Glasgow at the moment. So there are 2 conversion programs, one in philosophy, pure philosophy, and one in philosophy of mind and psychology. Both of those conversion programs are open to anyone with an undergraduate degree, a qualifying undergraduate degree. It doesn't have to be in philosophy, doesn't have to be in psychology. You can take either conversion course with any first degree. So that's part of why they're conversion. The goal is to get you from whatever other degree you were in through a master's program in philosophy or philosophy of mind and psychology. Both of those programs, both conversion programs, have the same core course, which is Introduction to Analytic Philosophy. The course is kind of in 2 parts. We have part A and part B, first semester and second semester. And then if you're on the pure philosophy, the regular philosophy, in addition to that core course, you can take a range of option courses from across philosophy. And as Emily and I were saying, there's really a wide range of topics that you can choose and what kind of philosophy you might want to pursue, from ethics to philosophy of mind to epistemology. Political philosophy is a wide, metaphysics, philosophy of language, logics, a wide range of courses in philosophy that you can choose in addition to that core course. On the philosophy of mind and psychology conversion program, in addition to that core course, which all conversion students take together, you get to choose option courses from philosophy of mind. So it's philosophy of mind and psychology. So you have a range of options, but they're within philosophy of mind, and also courses in psychology that you take. So those are 2 conversion programs. There are also 2 sort of unfortunately named regular programs, which mean that the expectation is that you've already done a first degree in those subjects. And again, there's one in philosophy and there's one in philosophy of mind and psychology. to qualify for the regular program in philosophy, you need to have a first degree in philosophy, the qualifying degree. And for the second one, the philosophy of mind and psychology, your first degree can be in either philosophy or in psychology. Those two programs also have one shared core course called Philosophy Research Methods. Everyone in either program does that course together. And then, like with the conversion courses, you have a range of options that you can choose from to supplement that core course. What the options are and how many they are may differ from year to year, but you can pursue your interest there in those option courses. If you're on the Philosophy of Mind and Psychology course, then again, you take Philosophy of Mind in addition to the core course, and also some psychology courses. And you also take another research methods course in cognitive science. If that was too quick about the program structure, you can find out more details about that on the website or get at me and I can answer your questions. But the basic idea is for all 4 programs, you have a core course you take with everyone else on that kind of program, and then options that you can take within the kind of program that you're on. And then everyone also writes a dissertation in the summer. Your dissertation can be on any topic in philosophy. So all 4 programs you write a dissertation. And it can be on any topic that you propose. And I would say people propose a very wide range of topics. So you want to choose a topic that's in the research expertise of someone in the department. But as we were saying, it's quite extensive and a wide range of expertise. What's your dissertation on, Emily? You'll have just started working on it. What's it on?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm writing my dissertation sort of broadly in applied ethics, specifically sports ethics. So I'm looking at all sorts of questions about the nature of fairness and doping, performance enhancement, all these different questions about, the ethics involved in sports. So
cool. I didn't know that's what you were doing. Cool. Yeah, so there you go. A wide range of possible topics in philosophy that are all open to you. And all programs have that dissertation. And I think I'm trying to, I think that something that can happen is you start off with a sort of idea about what you're going to write your dissertation on, and then, what kind of philosophy you're most interested in. And in fact, at the induction event, people often talk about what in philosophy they're most interested in. And then, as you'll find, it often shifts for people. So they take a course, an option course, or something that comes up in the core course that they get really interested in. And then people shift and write on that. So I think one nice thing about having so many senior seminars where people are coming from across the world to talk about their research, and the PG seminars where other students are talking about what they're interested in, and all the activity of the research centers, is that people really do discover, even at this master's level, new areas of philosophy and new questions to ask and think about. So I think if you have a particular topic in mind for your master's, don't get too wedded to it. I think it's very exciting that you come and you take a range of things, and then you can figure out what you might be most interested in. And because there's such a wide range of things, I think people really can be surprised by what they're interested in. Did you plan to do fairness in sports, Emily, when you started? Was that your thought? Do you remember?
No, not really. I definitely have always been interested in applied ethics, and we have a really good Emma Gordon is our reigning applied ethicist amongst others. But I definitely wanted to do ethics, but I wasn't sure what. But the good thing about the courses you do in your masters, is there's sort of room to chip and change kind of what you want, what you're thinking about. Obviously, the dissertation is sort of after you've done all of your modules, so you've got plenty of time to think about what you'd like to do and sort of explore different areas, and maybe something that you initially thought you'd want to write about. You'd do some of it in a course, and then maybe it's not kind of coming into fruition as you thought it would, and then you do something else, and that's really interesting. So that's been quite good to sort of get to this point where then you obviously have to pick something, and that's quite exciting to get to pick one thing as your research topic. So
Yeah, good. What was your favorite course, Emily?
my favorite course.
Yeah, that was the question I had to ask you here, but I also want to know your least favorite course. Is that I want to know more.
One of our courses, so I feel like there's an obvious.
Oh, mine was your least favorite course. I'll take it. I'm joking. No, honestly, what was your favorite course?
My favorite course was moral philosophy with Emma. We talked about love in the moral philosophy course. It was lots of different issues in the philosophy of love, lots of stuff about enhancement, which is obviously something I'm really interested in. and also like lots of theoretical things about AI and robots and lots of different. It's a very wide range of like questions to think about, and obviously the topic of love, like on the face of it, seems doesn't you probably people are sort of a bit taken aback when you say that's what you're doing. Like obviously philosophy has a reputation for being a very like rigorous and quite serious, and I think it might seem that those things don't match up, but in fact there's obviously like such a wide range of like research done, and it was some really like good philosophical discussions that come out of like something like that. So that's probably my favorite class. Um, I don't know if I have a least favorite class. I enjoyed all of my classes.
Oh,
I'm not just saying that.
oh,
We have we have we also do research methods classes as part of our modules, which obviously are a different style. Not so much like philosophical issues, more like philosophical skills. So we're learning how to write a presentation and how to write a research proposal, how to do all these different skills that you don't really get much of a chance to do at undergrad. So it's really good to like have an actual class that gives you these skills that you otherwise don't really get like a formal opportunity to learn. It's sort of just have to do them. So that was a very useful class. Maybe not the most like stimulating for my philosophical curiosity, but it was very, very useful and very good skills learned from that I think will, like, even if I don't continue in philosophy, will be applicable to all sorts of different career paths. So
yeah. Thanks for that, Emily. Which
I'll plug the
obviously
research method.
transitions very nicely, yeah, into the next thing that we were going to talk about, which is the sort of why do a degree in philosophy at this level. And I think the transferable skills thing is a huge part of what's valuable about the degree. So whatever you might want to decide to do, the skills that you develop in philosophy are likely to be useful. So you learn how to think more clearly and rigorously through things. You learn how to communicate orally and also in written form, right? So you write and speak better. You get practice in presenting things. You get practice in structuring essays and interrogating texts and looking for arguments and your critical thinking. And those sort of skills are extremely transferable. And I think employers increasingly recognize their utility. So there was recently like this big survey that they did in Canada that made a big splash. It was huge, where they asked employers like what skills they were looking for, and it turned out just the ones we're doing in philosophy. So I think it's really easy to think that if you aren't planning to go on to do a PhD, that there's nothing useful about the master's, or people might wonder what the utility is. And actually, the transferable skills there that you get and that you get to practice are actually extremely useful for many careers that you might go on to do. There are connections to lots of careers in particular that sort of have, more direct or stronger connections with philosophy that people have gone on to do, including journalism and teaching and civil service and government and business, publishing, law. But I think it's really worth emphasizing just how transferable the skills are, and how much we try. And you have a whole course emphasizing trying to develop those skills so that you can really hone them and use them whatever you're going to go on to do. The degree does, but all 4 degrees are intended to prepare you to do doctoral work if that's what you decide to do. They're qualifying for application to PhD programs. So that's worth knowing, but also to say, you needn't necessarily be intending to do the PhD in order to do the master's and have it be valuable. Besides actually getting a job in a particular kind of career, the study of philosophy itself is obviously really valuable. And I guess I wanted to say a little bit about that. I think the importance and value of philosophy and critical reflection in general for whatever you do in your life, not just in your job, but the way that you, as Emily was saying, by thinking about love, but the way that you live and how you relate to other people and how you see yourself in the world and how you find value and meaning in things and the decisions you make about how to spend your money and where to eat and where to live and what's important to you. I think the process of philosophy and critically reflecting on what you should do, how you should live, why you're doing what you're doing, what your reasons for things are, I think is just important for life in general. So Emily, now enough of me talking again. It would be good if you have anything to say. You don't need to get as preachy as I just did, though you can. About what you've gained from the program. You're almost done doing the great dissertation. What you've gained from the program and how you think it will or has been helpful just in your life generally. So either for your career prospects or in other ways, what's been valuable about it for you?
So I think philosophy is obviously a great subject, and I think I've genuinely gained so many skills and so many sort of attributes that not only like make you useful to employers, and it could be used genuinely across a range of different areas. And that's another good thing, is you're not really pigeonholed to one thing. Like there's lots of space to sort of change your mind and follow different paths, but also just as a thinker and as a person in like the modern world, like you've developed like a critical thinking ability that I think is extremely sought after, and I think is a good skill to have, especially like in the new like digital age. Like I think it's invaluable to have the ability to sort of form your own opinions and evaluate arguments, and the range of things you can apply that to, which we obviously like develop the skill to read on tons of different subjects. There's actually been a question in the chat that this might sort of apply to, about the opportunity to study courses outside of philosophy, which I'll pass over to Jen for like the formality of that sort of thing. But the thing I will say about philosophy is that you can apply it to a variety of different domains. Like I'm reading a lot of medical things right now for my dissertation. I'm reading a lot of political things about like I'm reading stuff from the Olympic Committee for what I'm reading about, but you can sort of apply your skills across a whole wide range of domains. I think that's really useful. So yeah, I'll pass back to Jen.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. That's really helpful. I think the skills you develop by doing philosophy, then you use for other things. And also, it's true that, and I'll get to these couple questions in the chat in just a second. It's true that a lot of philosophy nowadays, especially analytic philosophy, is increasingly interdisciplinary, so that you're drawing on empirical studies or sociological studies, anthropological studies, all sorts of work that might be relevant to the question in philosophy that you're addressing or answering. So Emily was just talking about medical texts and medical research. And in my own research, I draw a lot on neuroscience and psychology, and I think, and anthropology. So I think it's really important to know that. I think it makes it an exciting time to do analytic philosophy. The world is sort of open to you. And David Bain, who's one of the readers here in philosophy, used to say the thing that's unique about philosophy is its generality. So when you have a question in philosophy, you're supposed to and get to pull on any kind of sources or studies that might be relevant for answering that question. And one thing that gets to mean is that you can spend some time reading and analyzing and using the information and arguments and texts and resources of all the different disciplines to answer your question in philosophy. And that can make an exciting thing, I think, to address and study. And also, if you're a curious sort who's interested in lots of different things, it can make it especially apt for you, I think. The question about taking courses outside of philosophy, the short answer is not really. So you can't get credit for courses outside of philosophy if you're actually on either the regular philosophy master's or the conversion philosophy program. If you're in the philosophy of mind and psychology, then some of your courses are also in psychology. So you take them in philosophy and psychology, but you can't get credit towards the degree for any other courses. Because you're here at the University of Glasgow, you can audit other courses or sit in on other courses, and you can write the instructor and ask to do that. And there's tons of seminars and events and regular happenings across the College of Arts, but also more generally across the university. So you can go learn more about those things and meet with people and hear all sorts of talks and events on different topics. But for your actual credits towards the degree, so the assessments you'll write and the things you'll be required to do if you're on philosophy or philosophy conversion, that's all in philosophy. And if you're in philosophy of mind and psychology or philosophy of mind and psychology conversion, that's all in philosophy and psychology. On the question about part-time, there's a question about how that breaks down. So if you do, I should say first, you're only eligible to do part-time study if you're a UK resident. And if you are a UK resident and you would like to do part-time study, then you do The core course, you always do that core course first, so as part of your first year, and then you take less options each year. So your option courses are split into your first year and your second year, and then you take your dissertation in the second year at the end. So the core course always, if you like, comes during that first year. The option courses are split more sparingly, and the dissertation always comes at the end. So if you want more details about that or exactly when the stuff meets, you can get in touch, and we can talk about particular years one-on-one. Somebody asked about the process of choosing a dissertation topic. So as part of the research methods course that Emily was mentioning, you actually submit and get feedback on a dissertation plan. So we sort of all throughout the year, you might be thinking about what you want to write your dissertation on, and then you get some advice on how to approach the dissertation, how to write a plan for the dissertation, and then as part of your assessment, you actually submit that plan and then get assessed on it. Was that a helpful process, Emily, for thinking about your dissertation? Anything you want to say about the dissertation plan?
Yeah, definitely. So having to submit the plan as part of our assessment for the second semester is really useful because it just gets you thinking about it. And obviously no one's like holding you to what you put down like exactly. Like I'm not doing exactly what I put in my plan, but it's quite a good sort of general outline that gets you just sort of reading the things you need to read and just thinking about the sort of shape you want to follow. So you are quite supported in that sense of in picking a dissertation topic, and then you obviously get assigned a supervisor off the back of that, who will be knowledgeable like in your area, and that's a good starting point with them as well. Like it was quite useful to have that plan as something to sort of get started thinking about it with my supervisor, and then obviously from then we've sort of moved on to a more specific way of thinking about it, but it is a useful sort of starting point.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I should say, I guess I didn't say, that is how you get allocated a supervisor, as Emily said. So you when you write the dissertation plan, you suggest a few people that you're most interested in working with. You can make an informal arrangement with someone ahead of time, but they're not actually your supervisor until the process of allocation after you submit the plan. And you do want to pick, it was asked in the chat, you do want to pick a topic and a person on that topic where that's their kind of research expertise. That's mostly for you, so that you really get the benefit of someone's expertise in guiding what you're thinking about and what the dissertation contributes to the conversation. You know, it's really a big independent research project for you at the end, where you really have the chance to think through something in depth and in detail and with an expert in that field. And you want to really, I think, take advantage of that opportunity as the opportunity that it is. So if you pick something, and you know, some supervisors will agree to supervise something outside their range of expertise, and there's some supervision, you know, that you can do. It's not as if they will agree to do something if they know nothing about it, but you'll really get the most out of it if you pick something that's on something that they're quite knowledgeable about, because then they'll know more about it, they'll be more interested in it, they'll have more resources ready to hand for you. So that's really the best thing you can do. There's a question in the chat about how much time is considered part-time, how much time each week. I don't have ready to hand, though if you write me, I can cook up rough numbers for you, a number of hours per week. Maybe someone on the team behind the scenes has that ready to hand. But the credits, how it works for the credits is that they're just split in half, so that a one-year degree becomes a two-year degree. So the course load is split in half. So that's the official thing that makes it part-time. It's not so much done hour by hour, though that will translate into some hours per week, roughly. Though, I mean, it varies across the year a bit as well. So sometimes, as I'm sure Emily will attest, some weeks are more intense than other weeks, depending on when assessments are due and what's happening with the coursework. There's a question I missed, I think, in the chat. Oh, yes, about a student chat group. Emily, you should speak to that, actually, about a student chat group.
So I think they've responded with a chat group for what's the word, for offer holders, for people, so that's good for that. But speaking on in terms of like people actually doing the course, we do have group chats. So I'm the student representative for this year, but every year there'll be a student representative, and they'll probably organize group chats for the different courses we have. So we have one for our like individual courses. So I'm on the regular philosophy masters. So there's 8 of us. We have our own group chat. The different courses have theirs. Then we have like a big one, just for organizing different meetups, and we do a weekly social. So we organize that on there. And it's also just useful for, we can share like thoughts about different subjects. We can ask questions and stuff without having to do anything formal. We can like answer each other's questions, and it just makes it more of a nice community to be a part of. So yeah, there will be active. I can promise you there'll be active group chats for if you join.
Yeah.
There's another question that wasn't asked in the chat, but I think it'd be good to talking about the part-time. I do a full-time master's, but it's people in my course that are doing part-time, and they're just as involved, if not more involved. They've been here. The people who it's their second year obviously have been here a year before us. They're actually quite a valuable resource to have. And the people who it's their first year, they're just as involved in like the student life as us who are doing full time. So if that was an apprehension, like I wouldn't let that be a worry. But yeah, to jump from that onto what a postgrad program is like generally compared to undergrad.
And the workload, Emily, yeah, maybe roll that into one. But how much harder is that at postgrad, and how much time do you spend? Yeah.
So going from undergrad philosophy to postgrad philosophy, I obviously can't really speak for the conversion course or anything, but I can imagine lots of the things are pretty comparable. I think postgrad degree, obviously I would say it's harder in the sense that sort of the material that I'm producing is hopefully of a better standard. And
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I would like to think. And there's obviously also, you're writing longer essays, you're sort of dealing with harder material. But in saying that, I do feel very set up well to do a postgrad, having done an undergrad, so I wouldn't fret about not being able to like keep up or not being able to understand things. Like first of all, you're very supported, especially here at Glasgow. There's always people who are willing to help and want to help you succeed. You've obviously got your course mates. There's academic services and all these things if you're struggling with that sort of thing. But you are really given the space to succeed, so it's not. I wouldn't be worried about the jump per se. I think having done an undergrad degree sets you up quite well for success in a postgrad degree, because it's a lot of the same skills, just you're held to a higher standard and you're sort of expected to be more independent, which having done a dissertation undergrad, you've sort of developed a bit of those skills already. So it's just putting them more into practice. I would say it's probably, I guess it doesn't have to be depending how you are, but it is probably more actual hours of the week I probably am spending just reading, because reading and obviously you do a lot of writing and speaking to people and all these things. I think just because you're probably consulting a wider range of sources for everything that you're doing, and there is more reading available if you want it, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So it really is what you make of it. I think you are really given the opportunity to become like I would say like quite a high standard of philosophy in the postgrad, like being able to produce work like that. Like you are given the opportunity to thrive like that, and I wouldn't be too worried about the step up if you having done your undergrad. Mm-hmm. So from a student's perspective, that's what I would say. But I'm sure Jen got more to say.
No, that's good to hear. The only thing I'd add, Emily, which is stuff that doesn't, I mean, it's good to hear that you feel supported in the transition and that it wasn't sort of shocking. I think we definitely try to put things in place to support people in developing and taking the next step into postgraduate work. And the only thing to add, as I say, that doesn't apply to you, is that there's also resources available for international students. There's a kind of transition for them that wouldn't have been true for you, but maybe true for some people listening. So that's worth noting. And there it is on the bottom of the screen. There's quite a lot of support to help you with that transition. And there's also support in writing. So for academic writing, especially in English if you haven't done academic writing in English before. There are courses you can take and one-on-one meetings that you can have for folks to help you develop your writing skills as you need to for the course. So here at Glasgow, we at least take it very seriously and try to offer the resources that you might need. So it's worth knowing that those are available to you if that's the sort of thing you might be worried about. The last thing I wanted to say is my last bit of advice, and then as we start winding down. So I have one big piece of advice, and then any advice that Emily has for prospective students, and then if there's any final questions, we'll take them, and if not, we'll shut down. But my big piece of advice for prospective students, I constantly get emails, love getting emails from prospective students about any questions you have. But one of the emails I get most regularly is what people can read before they come or how they should prepare if they're planning to come. And my biggest piece of advice for what to do to prepare is to just read anything you like in philosophy or any sort of nonfiction or even some fiction, but philosophy or any sort of nonfiction, and look for the reasons that people are saying the things they're saying. So look for what is being said and the person's reasons for saying it. So for any of the subjects we do there or later, you want to figure out what you think about it and then why you think about it. And even better than just reading about it, to talk to someone and practice getting used to saying not just what you think, but why you think it. And that skill of giving and taking reasons, both in text and in conversation, is the biggest thing you can do, I think, to prepare for philosophy. And if you enjoy that, so if you enjoy trying to figure out why you think what you think or why other people think what they think, especially when you disagree, then you'll love doing philosophy here at Glasgow. I think that's what we're all about, and that's the best way to prepare. So my big piece of advice is to start practicing giving and taking reasons, yours and other people's. Advice, Emily?
Yeah, I think probably in a similar vein, like just reading as much as possible is obviously just a useful skill for philosophy, and just being able to like look at things through a critical lens is great to practice. I think the advice I'd have for people coming to study at Glasgow, I guess, to just think about what you'd like to get out of the course. There's like so much available, and I think going into it with like quite a positive mindset, like setting yourself up for success, thinking maybe having a look at some of the research interests at Glasgow, the sort of thing you'd like to get involved in, and just, yeah, setting yourself up for success of the course, thinking about what you'd like to look into and like really dedicating yourself to, doing the best philosophy you can in that way. And yeah, just looking forward to it, I guess, is the last piece of advice.
That's nice. That's a lovely place to end. Should
Yeah.
look forward to it. Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, then I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us. And yes, as it says, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you in September. Indeed we do. Thanks for your time, and thanks for your time too, Emily. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.